December 13, 1943. One American pilot, one obsolete fighter, 64 enemy aircraft heading straight for his base. Standard military doctrine, wait for backup when outnumbered 5-1. But Second Lieutenant Philip Adair was staring down 64-1 odds. What he did next defied every rule in the book. The morning sky over Assam, India. Adair had just refueled his P-40 Warhawk, Lulu Bell, when the alarms screamed across the airfield. Enemy aircraft incoming. As he climbed through the hazy morning air, 64 Japanese aircraft materialized, 24 bombers surrounded by 40 fighters, heading straight for Denjan Airfield. The nearest friendly fighters were 38 minutes away. Below him sat critical supply transports, a field hospital, and fuel stocks that kept the vital hump airlift running. Adair could radio for help and watch his base burn. Or he could attack, alone. He pushed the throttle forward. The first strike, Adair's P-40 Warhawk, nicknamed Lulu Bell, was powered by an Allison engine that could reach speeds over 370 miles per hour. But speed meant nothing against these odds. He had one advantage: surprise. The Japanese formation expected fighters to intercept them near the target, not 20 miles out. Adair climbed high, positioning himself with the sun at his back, and rolled inverted into a screaming dive. His 6.50 caliber Browning machine guns hammered to life. Tracers arced through the morning air, walking up the wing of the lead bomber. The fabric tore, metal sparked, then the engine erupted in flames. The tight bomber formation shattered. Aircraft scattered in 3 directions, their precision bombing run destroyed before they could even see the target. But now, 40 Japanese fighters knew he was there. Fighting alone. The Nakajima Oscar was one of the most maneuverable fighters in the Pacific. In a turning fight, the lightweight Japanese aircraft could outmaneuver the heavier American fighter every time. Standard P-40 tactics were simple: never turn with them. Hit and run, extend away, but Adair couldn't extend away. If he fled, the bombers would reform and complete their attack. He had to keep them scattered, keep them nervous, even if it meant fighting 40 fighters alone. The first Oscars dove on him. Adair fired, forcing them to break off. He reversed, dove to maintain speed, then climbed back toward the bombers. 2 more fighters attacked from above. He fired again. No hits, but they broke away. His ammunition was already running low. Each burst brought him closer to empty guns and certain death. The impossible decision. Behind the fighter screen, the Sally bombers were attempting to reform. 3 groups were closing back into their bombing formations. If they achieved their V pattern again, they would press the attack. Adair had perhaps 90 seconds. He rolled out, throttle to the stop, and dove toward the bombers again. 8 Oscars followed him down, but the P-40 accelerated past 400 miles per hour in the dive. They couldn't match that speed. He opened fire on the lead bomber at close range, seeing hits on the engine and what looked like fire coming out of the bomber. The bomber rolled right, streaming fire. Its wingman broke formation to avoid collision. The Oscars were closing again, 12 of them this time. And then his engine started overheating. Fighting a dying aircraft. The Allison engine was designed for approximately 20 minutes at full combat power. Adair had been running at maximum power for over 11 minutes. His coolant temperature gauge climbed into the red zone. He had 3 choices: reduce power and let the bombers attack, abandon the mission and return to base, or continue fighting and risk engine failure over hostile jungle. The bombers were still within bombing range of Denjan. Adair kept the throttle forward. 2 Oscars came at him head-on. Both fighters opened fire. 7.7mm rounds walked toward his nose. Adair's heavier .50 caliber rounds reached farther. At 350 yards, he hit the lead Oscar's engine. White coolant vapor streamed from the damaged fighter as it broke away. His coolant temperature hit the critical mark. The engine was dying. But the bomber formations were scattered again, their precision destroyed. Despite his aircraft being hit by several rounds, Adair stayed in the fight. The raid was broken. Individual bombers turned southeast toward Burma. The airfield was safe. Now, he just had to get home. The flight home. 6 Oscars followed him as he turned southwest toward base, 43 miles away. His engine oil pressure dropped to 0. Without oil pressure, metal ground against metal. The propeller began windmilling unevenly. Power output fell. Behind him, the Oscars closed to 400 yards. They didn't fire. They were watching, waiting for the American pilot to crash or bail out. One Oscar pulled alongside, close enough for Adair to see the pilot's face. The Japanese pilot gestured downward. Land. Surrender. Adair ignored him. At 6,000 feet, smoke began filling his cockpit. Rounds had severed control cables and damaged the electrical system. He slid the canopy open, but his airspeed kept falling. 160 miles per hour, 150. The P-40's stall speed was 120. At 4,000 feet, his right aileron control cable snapped. The P-40 rolled right, nose dropping into a dive. He hauled back on the control stick. Nothing. The elevator cables were damaged. He had no pitch control. The jungle rushed up at him. 3,000 feet, 2,500, 2,000. He was going to crash. The impossible solution. Then, Adair had an idea. He inverted the plane multiple times on the way back to base to gain altitude, as the damaged elevators were permanently pointing the plane down. If he rolled the aircraft completely inverted, the damaged controls that were forcing the nose down would instead lift it up. Flying upside down would reverse the problem. At 1,800 feet above the jungle, Adair rolled Lulu Bell completely inverted. Blood rushed to his head. His vision turned red around the edges. The fuel system struggled to feed fuel upside down. The engine coughed, sputtered, then caught again. The nose came up. The descent slowed. At 1,200 feet, the P-40 leveled out, flying upside down at 140 miles per hour. But flying inverted starved the fuel system. The engine began cutting out. He rolled right side up, and the damaged controls immediately pushed the nose down again. So he created a rhythm: flip inverted to climb, flip upright to feed fuel, repeat over and over, climbing 50 feet at a time, refusing to quit. The 6 Oscars circling above watched this impossible display and decided not to engage. The American pilot was either insane or desperate. Either way, they turned east toward Burma. The landing altitude reached 3,000 feet, then 4,000. The base at Nguli appeared ahead. 21 miles, 11 minutes if his engine kept running. It didn't. At 2 miles from the runway, his engine quit completely. The propeller windmilled to a stop. The P-40 became a glider with a terrible glide ratio, made worse by battle damage. He wasn't going to make it. After surviving 64 Japanese aircraft, after flying inverted for 11 minutes, he would crash 200 yards from safety. Then he remembered. He approached the runway inverted with the wheels down. At 400 feet altitude, half a mile from the threshold, Adair was still inverted. His vision was fading. He had perhaps 20 seconds of consciousness remaining. Ground crew saw an inverted P-40 approaching with landing gear extended and began traversing a .50 caliber machine gun toward what they thought was a captured aircraft attempting to attack the field. At 200 feet, 300 yards from the threshold, Adair rolled right side up. The damaged aileron immediately pushed the right wing down. He countered with left stick, forcing the wings level. The P-40 descended toward the runway at a steep angle, nose high, wings wobbling. The gun crew held their fire. Adair crossed the threshold at 90 feet, descending rapidly. Too fast, too steep. The main wheels hit hard. The gear struts compressed fully. The right main gear collapsed. The wingtip hit the runway and dug in. The aircraft ground looped right, spinning 180 degrees, throwing sparks and concrete fragments. It skidded backward for 200 feet and stopped. Adair sat motionless for 12 seconds. Then, he released his straps, stood up, and climbed out onto the wing. Conclusion: ground crew counted the damage. 16 bullet holes in the fuselage, 11 in the wings. The engine was destroyed, connecting rods welded to the crankshaft. Lulu Bell would never fly again. But all 24 bombers had turned back without dropping their ordnance. 0 bombs hit Allied facilities, 0 casualties. The hump airlift continued without interruption. Philip Adair was awarded the Silver Star. He flew 95 more combat missions, achieved ace status, and survived the war. He retired as a full colonel in 1971. The P-40 Warhawk was considered obsolete by 1943, but in the hands of determined pilots like Philip Adair, it proved what mattered most in combat wasn't the aircraft's specifications, it was the courage and skill of the pilot flying it. One pilot, one obsolete fighter, 64 enemy aircraft, December 13, 1943. Philip Adair proved that courage and determination can overcome any odds. If stories like this remind you why we preserve history, hit that like button and subscribe for more forgotten heroes. Turn on notifications so you never miss these incredible stories. Drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. And share this video with someone who needs to hear about true courage. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.